Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Equipment Grants Program Technical Webinar. Jody Williams is the NPL who will be sharing today. She has said that she's had some technical issues, so if that happens, Jody, if we don't hear from you, then Chris Green, the NPL, will probably be the one to share. So Jody, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Jody Williams. I'm the National Program Leader, one of the National Program Leaders for the Equipment Grants Program. I have with me the rest of our team, Donna Hyatt and Chris Green. And so we're welcoming you to the Equipment Grants Program RFA Announcement and Technical Assistance webinar. Next slide, please. So just a little bit of logistical information. The webinar will be recorded. I think you're okay on making sure that your microphones are muted. If you have any issues with Zoom, tech support number is here. Throughout the presentation, please type questions in the chat box. In the slides and the recording from this meeting will be posted to our funding opportunities page for the Equipment Grant Program. Next slide, please. This is USDA's non-discrimination statement. In accordance with federal civil rights law and the U.S. Department of Agriculture civil rights regulations and policies, the USDA, its agencies, offices, and employees and institutions participating in or administering USDA programs are prohibited from discriminating based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, gender identity, including gender expression, sexual orientation, disability, age, marital status, family parental status, income derived from a public assistance program, political beliefs, or reprisal or retaliation for private civil rights activity in any program or activity conducted or funded by USDA. Not all bases apply to all programs. Remedies and complaint filing deadlines vary by program or incident. In addition, in summary, the rest of the slide provides information for access and alternative means of communication for persons with disability, as well as the information on filing a program discrimination complaint, in addition to the contact information. USDA is an equal opportunity provider, employer, and lender. Next slide, please.
Okay, I don't hear Jody. Jody, can you hear us? Okay, so she has.
I'm back. I'm sorry.
Okay.
In terms of introductions, Jody Williams. Chris Green is a national program leader also working with the program, and his contact information is provided, as well as Donna Hyatt, our program specialist working with the program, and her contact information is also provided. Feel free, as you are working to apply to the program, to reach out to any of the three of us for additional information and questions. Next slide, please. Just a little agenda for the topics we'll cover today. I'm going to give a quick overview of NIFA and our programs, a little bit specifically about the Equipment Grants Program in terms of an overview, and then we'll dive into the request for applications details, followed by the proposal evaluation process and some additional information and resources. Next slide, please. So in terms of the overview, next slide, please. The National Institute of Food and Agriculture is the extramural science funding agency within USDA's research, education, and economics mission area. NIFA invests in and supports initiatives that ensure the long-term viability of agriculture by providing funding and strategic leadership for programs that ensure groundbreaking discoveries in agriculture-related sciences and technologies, and ensure that agriculture-related sciences and technologies reach the people who can put them into practice. Next slide, please. Topics covered by NIFA programs cover the gamut, including advanced technologies, environment, education, animal science, business and economy, natural resources, vet med, food and nutrition security, international programs, plants, human sciences, farming and ranching, as well as food safety and nutrition. Next slide, please. A little bit about the Equipment Grants Program. Next slide, please. The purpose and priorities of the program are to provide increased access to shared special purpose equipment or instrumentation for scientific research for use in the food and ag science programs, looking to enhance the fundamental and/or applied research capacity or extension both within and outside the proposing organization. Proposals to the equipment grant program are for the acquisition of a single or well-integrated piece of equipment or instrument. Any instrument that's acquired with the support of the equipment grants program is expected to be installed and fully operational by the conclusion of the first year of the project. Next slide, please. Eligibility for the program includes colleges and universities and state cooperative institutions, to include the 1862 and 1890 land-grant institutions, state certified schools of forestry, state ag experiment stations, cooperative extension service, accredited schools or colleges of veterinary medicine, Hispanic serving institutions, and eligible institutions in insular areas. Next slide, please. Eligible institutions may not submit more than 2 applications to this program as a lead institution. However, they can submit as co-leads. Please work with your Office of Research and Sponsored Programs regarding your institution's process to select proposals for submission. Institutions are limited to one award per fiscal year. To receive an award in fiscal year 2023, the lead institution may not have received more than 2 USDA NIFA equipment grant awards as a lead institution in the previous 2 equipment grant funding cycles. So not the college, not the lab, but the university. So you need to make sure you're collaborating with your offices of sponsored programs to ensure that you're not wasting your time submitting an application. Next slide, please. The equipment grants program has 1 project type, which is the equipment grant, and 1 grant type, which is standard. Next slide. Equipment projects are only for the acquisition of research equipment, and it does not include funding for research projects, personnel costs that are associated with the equipment. Equipment grant projects support the purchase of the equipment that will enhance the capacity at a research institution. Again, standard grants only, with a minimum funding request of $25,001 and a maximum funding request of $500,000. Project durations are 48 months. The instrument acquired using the equipment grant program, as mentioned previously, is expected to be fully operational by the end of the first year. The remaining time on the award is so that you can collect data on the impacts and outcomes of the investment of that piece of equipment. Next slide, please. The equipment grant program supports the acquisition of equipment for either fundamental or applied research at the applicant's institution. Fundamental research is research that increases knowledge or understanding of the fundamental aspects of phenomena and has the potential for broad application and has positive influence on the food and ag sciences. Applied research includes field testing or expansion of the findings of fundamental research. It may involve outreach or cooperative extension to uncover practical ways in which new food and agricultural science knowledge can be advanced to benefit individuals and society. Next slide, please. The equipment grant program does not fund research, education, or extension project costs or personnel salaries or wages, including research or personnel that use the equipment that's acquired with the support of the program. It only pays for the equipment. It does not provide funding. It does not fund common general purpose ancillary equipment that would normally be found in the lab or is relatively easy procured by other funding sources. It also does not support the operation, consumable supplies, or maintenance of facilities, equipment, or research labs or buildings, modifying or renovating facilities that house the acquired equipment. Nor does it fund supporting the acquisition of a suite of instruments to outfit research labs or facilities. Next slide, please. There is no matching required. Matching resources will not be factored into the review process as evaluation criteria, but you can provide a match. It's just not factored into the evaluation. Next slide, please. A little bit more on our application details and documents. Next slide, please. Here are the significant changes from last year. To receive an award, the lead institution may not have received more than 2 equipment grant programs in the previous 2 equipment grant program funding cycles. I mentioned it in the previous slide. This is new to the program. In fiscal year 2023, the equipment grant program will support the installation of equipment, but not the costs associated with building or modifying facilities to house that equipment. It will also provide funding for an extended equipment warranty for the duration of the award, which is 4 years, and one-time equipment use training upon delivery, as well as training and extended warranty. These training and extended warranty costs must not exceed $7,000 for each category. While extended warranty costs are allowed, continuing maintenance contracts are not. Again, the duration for the program is 48 months, and the instrument acquired using equipment grants funding is expected to be fully operational by the end of the first year of the project period. Next slide, please. The equipment grant program RFA is available online, as well as the frequently asked questions. The application deadline is May 3rd, 2023 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Proposals must be submitted through grants.gov. The total funding that's available in fiscal year 2023 is $4.8 million. The program code is EGP. The maximum funding per award is $500,000. The minimum funding per award is $25,001. Proposals per institution, maximum proposals per institution is 2. Maximum awards per institution is 1. The grant duration is 48 months. The program does have some flexibility to expand on the award types and related award amount that they fund. Next slide, please. Here are some of the key components of the documents of your application, and they are required for review. All proposals must have a project summary or abstract, a project narrative, a bibliography or reference list, and a data management plan. In addition to those 4 identified documents, there are other documents that are identified in the request for application, as well as in the NIFA grants application guide. Next slide, please. The project narrative has a 10-page limit and will be strictly enforced. Any proposals over that 10-page limit will be declined during the administrative review process. 1.5-inch spacing and 1-inch margins. 12-point Times New Roman font, including text, figures, and tables. The tables, however, may be single-spaced. Within that 10-page, you must describe the research equipment and the need, to include a technical description such as why is it needed, existence and availability of comparable instrumentation in the close geographical proximity. If it's an integrated instrument, define how it is well integrated. So if there's multiple pieces, you need to share with us why it needs to have all those pieces to be considered as one piece of equipment. Research activities to be enabled should also be described, a brief description of research areas and very generally. So how will it advance capacity at the institution and potential contributions to the field? Remember, this piece of equipment is not supposed to be identified with one specific research project. Next slide, please. The project timeline and instrument location is also included in the project narrative. This section includes the location of the instrument and how it will be shared or used, how it will have shared use and access to multiple labs or institutions. It also provides information on the administrative timeline, coordination and collaboration management, and project sustainability beyond the grant. Also, procedures for allocating the instrument's time, if appropriate, and plans for attracting and supporting new users should also be incorporated into the project timeline and instrument location component of the project narrative. You should also include the cooperation and institutional involvement within the project narrative. This will further define the degree to which the project will strengthen the institution's fundamental or applied research, the institution's commitment to the project to include the adequacy of institutional resources, and plans for equipment maintenance and use for the life of the instrument beyond the period of USDA support. Applications, as I mentioned before, exceeding the page limitation will be returned without review from the full panel. Next slide, please. Another required document is the data management plan. Investigators must provide a detailed, up to 2 pages, business and management plan. This business and management plan includes expected data type, data format, data storage and preservation, data sharing, protection, and public access, and the roles and responsibilities of the individuals associated with the data management plan. It should be entitled Management Plan and uploaded via Field 12 under Other Attachments of the Research and Related Other Project Information form. Remember, all of this information is included in the request for applications. In addition to that, please also review the data management plan of NIFA-funded research projects on our nifa.usda.gov resources website. Next slide, please. NIFA only accepts electronic submission of applications, and we do that through grants.gov. The NIFA Grants Application Guide is available at the following link. Application documents must all be in PDF to be accepted by NIFA, including your narrative and budget justifications. Grants.gov may allow other formats, but remember, NIFA does not. Do not use third-party PDF builders when creating your application. Next slide, please. A little bit about the proposal evaluation process. Next slide, please. So the first step in the evaluation process is that proposals are assigned for review to at least 3 reviewers with expertise in the proposed topic. The reviewers will then produce individual reviews of each proposal in their home independently, evaluating the strengths and weaknesses identified in the evaluation criteria of the request for application. These written reviews are then used to begin panel discussions with other reviewers serving on the peer review panel during the virtual panel. Through these discussions, peer review panelists come to consensus on the final rating and ranking of proposals. Next slide, please. The evaluation criteria, which is also included in the request for application, is four tiers. It includes innovation, a proposed approach, not tiers, because they're all equally evaluated. Innovativeness of the proposed approach, potential impact on research capacity, institutional capability, and budget and cost effectiveness. One of the things you'll notice is that on these slides, we have the request for application page numbers. So you're able to refer directly back to the RFA page to identify where the different items are located. In terms of innovativeness of proposed approach, we're looking at the soundness of the proposed approach, justification of the requested equipment, plan of operation, timetable, and management plan, and also looking that it supports innovation and is multidisciplinary. In terms of potential impact on research capacity, proposals should advance the quality of fundamental and/or applied research activities within the institution or within the geographic region. The equipment grants should strengthen the institutional by creating new or enhanced capabilities, and it should focus on existence and/or availability of comparable instrumentation in close proximity. Also ensure that the equipment aligns with institutional long range and the USDA's goals. In terms of the institutional capability, the institution must ensure that they have a capacity to acquire, install, and operate the equipment, should be able to support the degree to which the equipment will strengthen its research capacity, and be able to show the institution's commitment to operation and maintenance of the equipment. Budget and cost effectiveness evaluation criteria should identify that the total budget adequately supports the equipment acquisition, that it's also cost effective, that the equipment is necessary and reasonable, and that it maximizes the use of limited resources. Next slide, please. Here's the timeline of competitive programs. In the first 1 to 2 months, you'll receive a request. The request for application is released. That is where we are now. Proposal writing and planning, and then proposals are due. The next 2 to 3 months, proposals go under review by the individual reviewers, as well as the panel. And then proposal funding notifications are made. And then finally, in the last 1 to 2 months, the awards are finalized and made. On average, a competitive program takes about 3 to 5 months from the proposal due date to an award being made to an institution, and then probably another 30 days, maybe 60, before the funds actually become available. We'll keep you updated as much as possible, and we appreciate your patience. If your program takes longer due to additional steps, please, change as needed for us, but please follow up with us if you haven't heard from us. It shouldn't take more than this time. Next slide, please. Some additional information. Next slide. In order to find information on currently funded awards, you're welcome to look at our current research information system on the CRIS database. It links to previously funded equipment grant programs, projects, so you can figure out what types of pieces of equipment that we funded previously in what regions and what areas and what institutions. Next slide, please. Upcoming events. NIFA events calendar for upcoming deadlines, meetings, and webinars is posted on our website, nifa.usda.gov/events, as well as upcoming requests for applications. Release calendar is available at nifa.usda.gov/upcoming RFA calendar. Next slide, please. These are additional grant resources as you prepare your proposal: funding opportunities, competitive grants flowchart, NIFA grant resources, NIFA policy guide, indirect costs, a guide for preparation and submission of NIFA applications via grants.gov, and information on awarded grants can be found all on our website. I highly recommend that you take a look at all of these grant resources while you're preparing your proposal, specifically if you're confused or running into questions. So in addition to reaching out to us via email or phone, please make sure that you're taking a look at these grant resources as well. They're put in place to support the development of high quality grants. Next slide, please. If you have any questions, this is Chris's contact information as well as mine and Donna's. I think that might be the last slide. Let's just go one more time. Okay, that is. So as mentioned previously, this recording will be made available on the funding opportunities page for the equipment grants program. And if there are no more questions, then I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Have a great afternoon, evening, morning to everyone.